Hello, friends. Welcome back to Mindset Hub Tube. Today, we're diving deep into Atomic Habits by James Clear, a book that reveals how tiny changes in your daily habits can lead to massive transformations in your life. Whether you want to improve your health, productivity, relationships, or finances, this video will show you practical strategies you can implement immediately. At its core, Atomic Habits is built around a simple but powerful idea. Small habits, when compounded over time, create remarkable results. Think of it like saving money. If you save just a little every day, it may not seem like much, but over months and years, the growth can be incredible. Habits work the same way. Tiny improvements consistently made are far more powerful than one-time bursts of effort. The first key principle is that change does not require massive action. It requires small adjustments to your routine. James Clear emphasizes that it's not about setting overly ambitious goals, but about designing your life in a way that makes good habits easier and bad habits harder. One of the first ideas he introduces is the power of identity. Most people focus on what they want to achieve. I want to lose 20 pounds, or I want to write a book. But Clear argues that lasting change comes from focusing on who you want to become, not just what you want to achieve. For example, instead of saying, I want to run a marathon, you say, I am a runner. This subtle shift transforms your habits because you start acting in alignment with your identity. Here's a real-life example. Sarah wanted to get fit. She had tried diets and extreme workout plans before, but always failed. When she started seeing herself as a healthy person and focused on daily small actions like taking the stairs, drinking more water, and walking 20 minutes each day, her habits stuck. Over months, she didn't just lose weight, she completely transformed her lifestyle. Another fundamental concept is the four-step habit loop: cue, craving, response, and reward. Every habit follows this loop. Cue is a trigger that starts the behavior. Craving is the desire that motivates the habit. Response is the actual behavior you perform. And reward is the benefit you gain which reinforces the habit. Clear explains that by understanding this loop, you can redesign habits effectively. For instance, if you want to read more, you can make the cue obvious, like putting a book on your pillow. You create the craving by making reading enjoyable, perhaps pairing it with tea or coffee. The response is reading a few pages, and the reward is the satisfaction and knowledge you gain. He also introduces the 4 laws of behavior change, which are the practical ways to build good habits and break bad ones. Make it obvious. Design your environment so the cues for good habits are visible. Make it attractive. Pair habits with something you enjoy, making them appealing. Make it easy. Reduce friction to doing good habits, remove barriers, and make it satisfying. Give yourself immediate positive feedback so the habit sticks. A real-life example of these laws in action is John, who wanted to stop checking his phone at night. He made it obvious by placing his phone in another room, made it less attractive by turning off notifications, made it easy by keeping a book on his bedside, and made it satisfying by tracking his streak of phone-free nights. Within weeks, he transformed his nightly routine effortlessly. Clear emphasizes the importance of environment over sheer willpower. You might think that if you just try harder, you can force habits into your life, but the truth is, your surroundings often dictate your behavior. Changing your environment is far more effective than relying on motivation alone. For example, keeping junk food out of the house is more powerful than trying to resist it while it's in front of you. At this point, we also see the role of habit stacking. This is a strategy where you attach a new habit to an existing one. For example, after I brush my teeth, I will floss one tooth. After I make coffee, I will write one line in my journal. This makes habits easier to remember and integrate into daily life. A friend of mine started habit stacking by placing her vitamins next to her coffee. Every morning, she drank coffee and took her vitamins automatically. No extra thought required. Finally, Clear discusses the compounding effect of small habits. Many people underestimate the impact of tiny changes because results are not immediate. If you improve by just 1% every day, over a year, that's 37 times better. On the flip side, tiny negative habits also compound. For example, scrolling aimlessly on your phone for 30 minutes daily adds up to over 180 hours a year, the equivalent of a month of wasted time.
Now that we understand how small habits build success, it's equally important to know how to break bad habits. James Clear explains that the same 4 laws used to create good habits can be reversed to eliminate negative ones. Make it invisible. Remove the cues that trigger the unwanted behavior. Make it unattractive. Reframe your mindset to focus on the downsides of the habit. Make it difficult. Increase friction or obstacles to performing the habit. Make it unsatisfying. Add immediate consequences to discourage the habit. Take the example of someone who wants to stop mindless social media scrolling. They could log out of apps and remove notifications, making it invisible. Remind themselves of lost productivity or sleep, making it unattractive. Delete apps or put their phone in another room, making it difficult. Track days without scrolling and reward themselves for consistency, making it unsatisfying if they fail. Clear stresses that small habits are more sustainable than relying on willpower. Trying to change everything at once often fails because habits are built into our environment and routines. Adjusting your surroundings can make good habits easier and bad habits harder without draining mental energy. Another effective strategy is habit stacking, where you attach a new habit to an existing routine. For instance, after pouring your morning coffee, you write down one thing you're grateful for. After brushing your teeth, you floss one tooth. This method leverages your current behaviors to make new habits automatic. A practical example is a friend who wanted to meditate daily. She placed her meditation mat next to her bed and stacked it with her morning alarm. As soon as she woke up, she sat for 5 minutes. The behavior became natural over time without extra thought. James Clear also emphasizes the compounding power of habits. Tiny actions may feel insignificant day to day, but over weeks and months, they accumulate into meaningful results. For example, improving just 1% each day leads to nearly 37 times improvement in a year, while negative habits can compound in the opposite direction. Spending 30 extra minutes on your phone daily adds up to hundreds of hours lost over a year. Another key idea is the importance of focusing on systems, not goals. Goals are outcomes, like lose 10 pounds or write a book, while systems are the processes that lead to those outcomes. Systems are more reliable because you control your habits every day, but results may vary. For example, a person aiming to get fit can focus on a system of daily exercise and balanced meals rather than obsessing over the final weight. This creates consistency without pressure. James Clear also introduces habit tracking, which provides feedback and motivation. It could be as simple as marking an X on a calendar for every day you complete a habit. This visual cue reinforces progress and builds momentum. For instance, someone who wants to read daily may track pages or chapters read. Over time, seeing the streak grow becomes motivating and helps the habit stick. Lastly, Clear highlights the role of identity reinforcement. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. Small wins, repeated over time, shape your self-image. For example, if you consistently go to the gym, you start seeing yourself as a fit person, which naturally aligns future behavior with that identity.
As we move forward, James Clear emphasizes that the environment is often the invisible hand shaping our behavior. While we tend to focus on motivation and willpower, your surroundings largely determine your habits. Small environmental tweaks can make good habits automatic and bad habits inconvenient. For example, if someone wants to drink more water, they can place a filled water bottle on their desk. If they want to eat healthier, they can put fruits on the kitchen counter and store junk food out of sight. These subtle changes reduce the mental effort needed to act on good habits and increase the friction for bad ones. Another advanced strategy is the 2-minute rule, which simplifies starting any habit by shrinking it down to just 2 minutes. The idea is that no habit should feel intimidating at the beginning. For instance, instead of committing to run 5 kilometers, start with put on running shoes and walk for 2 minutes. Instead of write a chapter, start by writing just 1 paragraph. Real-life example. Tom wanted to start journaling but felt overwhelmed by long entries. By using the 2-minute rule, he started with just 1 sentence per day. Over weeks, this tiny habit naturally expanded into longer, consistent writing sessions without resistance. James Clear also explains the concept of habit shaping, where you gradually adjust a habit to make it more effective. This is similar to progressive overload in fitness. For example, someone learning to meditate may start with 2 minutes a day, gradually increasing to 10, 20, and eventually 30 minutes. By scaling slowly, the habit becomes sustainable and avoids burnout. Another practical technique is the temptation bundling, which pairs a habit you want to form with an activity you enjoy. For instance, listening to your favorite podcast only while running, or watching Netflix only while on the treadmill. This creates a positive association, making the habit more attractive. A friend who wanted to strengthen her English vocabulary paired reviewing flashcards with her morning coffee. Over time, this habit became enjoyable and effortless. Clear highlights the importance of tracking progress and measuring habits, not just outcomes. Tracking gives you immediate feedback and creates a sense of accomplishment. For example, a salesperson wanting to improve calls may track the number of calls made each day, rather than focusing solely on sales. The process becomes motivating and improvements compound naturally. He also stresses the role of accountability. Sharing your goals or habits with someone else increases commitment. For example, joining a running group or a study partner creates social reinforcement that makes you less likely to skip your routine. A key insight from the book is that habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. Just as money grows over time through consistent investment, habits accumulate over time to create remarkable results. Missing one workout or skipping a day of journaling isn't catastrophic, but consistent action, even in small amounts, compounds into significant transformation. Finally, Clear discusses how to recover from failure and stay consistent. Everyone slips up. What matters is getting back on track quickly. He introduces the concept of never miss twice. Missing a habit once is not failure. Missing it twice in a row starts a negative chain. Real-life example. Lisa wanted to meditate daily but missed one morning. Instead of feeling guilty, she meditated that evening, ensuring she never missed twice. This approach prevents small lapses from derailing progress.
As we move toward mastering habits for the long term, James Clear emphasizes that consistency beats intensity. Big bursts of effort may produce temporary results, but small, consistent actions lead to lasting change. The key is to focus on showing up every day, even when progress feels minimal. One of the most powerful insights is the focus on identity-based habits. Instead of asking, "What do I want to achieve?" ask, "Who do I wish to become?" Every small action you take reinforces your identity. For example, if you want to become a writer, you don't just write a book. You write regularly, which makes you a writer in your own eyes and in the eyes of others. Clear introduces the concept of plateaus of latent potential. Many people give up because they don't see immediate results. Habits often create delayed benefits. For instance, learning a new language may feel slow at first, but consistent daily practice eventually leads to fluency. The breakthrough occurs when enough small improvements accumulate. Another crucial principle is never underestimate the impact of small habits on relationships. Positive habits like actively listening, expressing gratitude, or sending a thoughtful message daily can dramatically improve personal and professional relationships over time. For example, a colleague who sends a quick thank you note after meetings becomes someone others naturally trust and want to collaborate with, building influence subtly but powerfully. Clear also discusses the Goldilocks rule, which states that humans experience peak motivation when working on tasks that are just challenging enough, not too easy, not too difficult. Habits should be designed to remain engaging. For example, a runner may gradually increase distance or intensity to stay motivated, avoiding boredom or burnout. Another advanced strategy is continuous refinement of habits. Even when a habit is established, there's always room for improvement. For instance, someone who meditates daily may experiment with different techniques, durations, or times of day to maximize benefits. The habit evolves alongside personal growth. James Clear emphasizes the importance of social reinforcement. Your environment isn't just physical. The people around you shape your habits. Surrounding yourself with individuals who model the behaviors you aspire to increases the likelihood that you'll adopt and maintain similar habits. For example, joining a professional mastermind group encourages consistent learning and productivity. A powerful example from sports, elite athletes often focus on tiny details like nutrition timing, sleep routines, or micro-adjustments in technique. These small, repeated improvements compound over years into extraordinary performance, showing that mastery is the accumulation of marginal gains. Finally, Clear addresses long-term habit sustainability. The goal isn't to be perfect, but to design systems that make good habits natural and resilient to life's unpredictability. This involves optimizing your environment so cues favor positive behaviors, tracking progress to maintain motivation, focusing on identity to align habits with who you want to become, recovering quickly when setbacks occur. Real-life example, Alex wanted to build a reading habit. Instead of forcing hours at a time, he created a system: read 10 pages each morning and night. He tracked streaks, joined a book club for accountability, and placed books in visible locations. Months later, he had finished over 30 books effortlessly. By the end of this framework, it's clear that atomic habits are powerful because they are small, repeatable, and identity-driven. They may seem insignificant day to day, but over time, they create profound changes in health, productivity, relationships, and personal growth.
At this stage, James Clear emphasizes that small habits create the foundation for remarkable results over a lifetime. It's not about radical transformations overnight, but about the cumulative impact of tiny, consistent actions. One key insight is the idea of marginal gains, borrowed from elite sports. Clear explains that improving by just 1% in multiple areas of life compounds into extraordinary outcomes. For example, a swimmer might tweak stroke technique, diet, sleep, and mental focus slightly each day. None of these changes is dramatic alone, but together they create championship-level performance. This principle applies to career, health, relationships, and learning. Clear also discusses the role of habits in mastering skill and knowledge. To become truly excellent at anything, focus on the process, not the end goal. For instance, a software developer aiming to become a top coder focuses on daily practice, reading documentation, and small coding challenges. Over time, these small efforts accumulate into deep expertise. Another advanced strategy is using habits to manage energy and focus. Successful people design routines that align with their peak energy periods. For example, writing or problem-solving tasks are scheduled during high-focus hours, while administrative or repetitive tasks are done during low-energy times. This optimization ensures habits are more effective and less draining. James Clear also introduces the idea of habit reflection and review. Regularly evaluating your habits helps you identify what's working and what's not. For instance, once a month, someone could review their exercise, diet, and work routines to see where improvements can be made. This process of reflection keeps habits dynamic and aligned with goals. Real-life example, Maria wanted to improve her productivity. She reviewed her daily routine and noticed she spent 2 hours on low-priority emails. By shifting those tasks to a specific time slot and focusing mornings on high-value work, she dramatically increased her output, all by making small adjustments. Clear emphasizes the importance of tracking identity shifts, not just results. Every repeated behavior reinforces the type of person you are becoming. Someone who consistently studies, exercises, or networks is not just performing tasks, they are shaping their identity. Over years, these small actions compound into a fully transformed lifestyle. Another essential principle is the feedback loop of habits.
Positive behaviors create success, which reinforces the habit, which generates more success. A self-reinforcing cycle. Conversely, negative behaviors create setbacks, which make it easier to continue harmful habits. Understanding this loop helps you intentionally design habits that favor long-term growth. A powerful real-world example comes from finance. Consistently saving a small percentage of income may feel insignificant initially, yet over decades, this habit grows into financial security or wealth purely through compounding. Similarly, investing in learning just 30 minutes a day accumulates into expertise and career advancement. Finally, Clear highlights the ultimate habit principle. Focus on continuous improvement, not perfection. Perfection is unrealistic and discouraging, while consistent small steps are sustainable. By making habits obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying, and by stacking, tracking, and refining them, anyone can build a life shaped by positive behaviors. The takeaway is clear. Atomic habits are small, consistent, and identity-driven. They may seem minor at first, but over months and years, they accumulate into life-changing results. Real-life examples across fitness, learning, productivity, and finance show that these principles work universally. The key is patience, consistency, and intentional design.
As we reach the final part of this journey through atomic habits, it's important to focus on how to apply these principles in real life and make them sustainable over time. James Clear emphasizes that habits are not just about achieving goals, they are about shaping your identity and your life. One of the most practical takeaways is the habit stacking strategy. By linking new habits to existing ones, you leverage routines that are already automatic. For example, after brushing your teeth, you meditate for 2 minutes. After making coffee, you review your top 3 daily priorities. This approach reduces the mental effort of remembering to start a new habit and increases the likelihood of success. Clear also stresses designing your environment to support desired behaviors. This includes making good habits obvious and accessible, while making bad habits invisible and inconvenient. Real-life example. A student who wants to study more leaves textbooks on the desk and puts the phone in another room. Over time, the environment nudges the desired behavior without relying on willpower. Another critical lesson is tracking habits. A visual representation of progress, such as a calendar streak or checklist, reinforces consistency and builds momentum. For instance, someone wanting to exercise daily may mark an X on a calendar for every workout completed. Seeing the streak grow encourages continuation and creates a sense of accomplishment. James Clear emphasizes identity reinforcement. Every action is a vote for the person you want to become. If you consistently practice a habit, you reinforce that identity. Someone who writes daily becomes a writer. Someone who runs daily becomes a runner. These small, repeated choices shape self-perception and long-term behavior. A practical application of this is in professional life. Consider a junior employee who wants to become a leader. By consistently taking initiative, improving communication skills, and helping colleagues, they are not just performing tasks, they are embodying the identity of a leader. Over time, this identity aligns their habits, decisions, and results. Clear also addresses recovering from setbacks. Everyone slips up, and occasional failures are part of the process. The key principle is never miss twice. Miss a habit once, but immediately get back on track. Real-life example. Someone trying to meditate daily misses one morning, but practices in the evening instead. This prevents minor lapses from turning into long-term abandonment of habits. The compounding effect of habits is another central idea. Tiny improvements, repeated consistently, lead to exponential growth over time. For example, reading 20 minutes daily may feel small, but over a year, it can amount to dozens of books and substantial knowledge growth. Similarly, small savings accumulate into significant financial security due to compounding. Clear also highlights the importance of continuous refinement and feedback. Regularly review your habits and identify areas for improvement. Adjust your routines to maximize effectiveness and keep them aligned with your goals. This habit of reflection ensures that your systems evolve alongside your personal growth. Finally, the overarching message of Atomic Habits is that success is not a goal, it's a system. Focus on small, daily improvements, reinforce the identity you want to embody, and design your environment to support your habits. Over time, these atomic habits compound into profound transformation across health, productivity, relationships, and personal growth. Real-life examples across different domains, from fitness to finance, from learning to professional success, show that these principles work universally. Whether it's exercising daily, reading consistently, or managing time effectively, small habits are the building blocks of a remarkable life. Key actionable steps to implement immediately. Identify one small habit to start today. Stack it onto an existing routine. Make the cue obvious and the behavior easy. Track your progress visually. Reinforce your identity through repeated action. Adjust and refine habits continuously. Never let a missed habit become a repeated failure. Get back on track immediately. By focusing on these simple, practical strategies, you can harness the power of atomic habits and create lasting, meaningful change in your life. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to Mindset Hub Tube, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. I'd love to hear from you. What is one small habit you're going to start today? Share it in the comments below, and let's inspire each other to take consistent action. Remember, big changes come from tiny daily habits. Start small, stay consistent, and watch. See you in the next video.